I think we all love the crime/mob genre. Movies like Goodfellas, Casino, and Scarface are the obvious picks for fictional portrayals of a criminal life. But there's something more intriguing about hearing true stories from the people who actually lived through them. That's why these interviews with ex-mobsters like Michael Franchese and Sammy Gravano have gotten so popular. There's one interview that always stuck out to me and really shocked me the first time I heard it. The man in the interview was so straightforward and cold that it almost sounds scripted or too bad to be true.
How did you kill him?
I walked up behind him and I shot him in the back of the head.
Why did you kill him?
Because I was paid.
Do you know what he did?
I didn't ask. It was none of my business.
Did they ever find the weapon?
No. And one time a witness got up and recanted his testimony.
Because pressure had been put on him.
I don't know.
You wouldn't be surprised.
Nothing surprises me.
This interview was conducted in 1973, in a time before mobsters were on TikTok with ominous music behind them. One difference with this interview is that the man, by his own admission, was not retired or ex-anything. He was very much still an active part of his profession. He appeared wearing a mask and giving very straightforward and seemingly honest answers. How honest were they, though?
I'm David Susskind. Several years ago, we had a guest on this show who was a killer for the mafia. His name was Joey. He confessed to having killed 38 men. There have been so many requests to repeat that interview that we've decided to do it. So here it is, a conversation with Joey, a killer for the mafia, and we'll begin after this pause.
This self-alleged hitman was someone who went by the pen name Joey the Hitman, real name Max Kirschner. You may have seen videos titled Interview with the Hitman or Joey the Hitman floating around on YouTube. One of the most mysterious things about this interview is the identity of Joey, or Max himself. I will be referring to him as Max from this point forward. Comments asking for clarification and further information on Max received little to no responses. Well, today I want to take a dive down the Joey the Hitman/Max Kirschner rabbit hole.
What was your background, Joe? Were you an orphan?
I was in an orphanage as a kid.
When did you lose your mother and father?
Well, they died when I was pretty young.
You went to a lot of orphanages.
Well, I went to a lot of foster homes. And then we finally got back together again when my old man came out of the can.
Your father was a criminal.
Well, you call him a criminal. To me, he was my old man.
What did he do? Why did they put him in jail?
He killed 3 guys. He had a numbers bank up in the North Bronx. And Dutch Schultz sent some guys up there one day to declare himself in as a partner. My old man put him to sleep.
I think the natural place to start would be Max's early life. From what I could find, Max didn't have it easy. He was born in the Bronx of Jewish descent, and his father was incarcerated early, leaving Max on his own at a very young age. He bounced between orphanages and had a very unstable living environment as a child. His environment, as well as the fact he was a big kid, led him to some unconventional methods of making money. Growing up, Max would do small jobs, running numbers, a little bit of shylocking, and other things of that nature to make himself some money. This, however, all changed when he turned 16 years of age. When Joey turned 16, he was approached by a man who had a job proposal. The pay was more than someone his age could ever ask for, and the job was to take somebody out. Max took a while to weigh his options. He was tired of being a nobody, so in the end, he chose to take the job. He walked up behind his target, aimed, and fired right into the back of his head. He collected the $5,000 he was promised, and also the respect of his peers at the same time. Max finally meant something. People that used to brush him off would now greet him with open arms. This murder was a turning point in Max's life, a big one. He had hardly thought a second about what he had done. The first night was a little rough, but once no police came, he figured he was fine. He had no thought for the man's family or his children. It was purely a job for him. Beating up and killing people became a normal part of Max's life. His reaction to this first hit proved he had the perfect mindset for this sort of thing.
When did you first kill somebody? How old were you?
I was 16 the first time I hit somebody in the head.
How did you kill him?
I walked up behind him and I shot him in the back of the head.
Why did you kill him?
Because I was paid.
Do you know what he did?
I didn't ask. It was none of my business.
After this first hit, Max's career, so to speak, took off. He became a highly sought-after individual when somebody needed to go. Max's methods, or should I say method for killing, was simple and straightforward. Once he accepted a contract, he was given all the information on the target that was possible. Routines, hangout spots, girlfriends' houses, you name it. He was also given the cash up front every time. The price would be different depending on the target, but it averaged out to about $20,000. From then, he would take 1 to 2 weeks, sometimes less, to stalk his target and figure out patterns. The rest, as I mentioned before, was straight to the point. He would walk up with either a 38 or 32 caliber handgun and shoot them in the head, preferably the back of the head. Max alleged he had committed 38 murders at the time of this 1973 interview.
Do you think you have any ethics at all?
I have a lot of ethics. My word is my bond. That's number one. I'm more honorable than anybody you've ever run across in your life. That's my ethics. If I say something, it'll be done. It'll be done.
Max was not only revered for his ruthlessness, but also his trustworthiness. Even in the interview, Max stresses things like loyalty and being a man of your word, repeatedly saying, "My word is my bond." And for the most part, this must have been true if he was rehired 35 times. 3 of his killings were for revenge, not contracted. Max even had his own set of morals or rules he would follow to a T. For example, you never kill a man in his home in front of his family, you never kill a man in a house of worship, and you never rob them before or after the job. This probably goes without saying, but no ratting or squealing to the feds either. Max was very much a man who settled his own scores and believed others should operate that way as well.
And I was hired to do a job with somebody that had nothing to do with hitting. Well, my payoff was supposed to be $40,000. Only the party thought it would be cheaper to kill me. Only when he went to my house, I was in Reno. I didn't know nothing about it. And he came to my house, and my wife was there, and she was pregnant. One of them asked where I was, and my wife said she didn't know, which was true, she didn't. And they kicked her in the stomach, and she hemorrhaged, she was died.
I mentioned before that only 35 of his 38 killings were paid contracts. 3 were extremely personal for Max. See, 3 guys who had a problem with Max came looking for him at his home, only to find his pregnant wife. Max claims the men kicked her in the stomach, and she actually ended up dying. Once the men eventually caught up with Max, they broke his neck, landing him in the hospital. After his recovery, Max, in his own words, went hunting. He eventually caught and killed all 3 men involved, although he doesn't go into detail in the interview. Max would go on to write 3 books in accordance with David Fisher: Killer, the autobiography of a mafia hitman, Hit 29, and Joey Kills, which sounds like the subtitle for an 80s slasher. These books were considered bestsellers in their genre, and he allegedly made around $92,000 from them, which he failed to report to the IRS. These books are what led to the David Susskind interview you may have seen. When asked why he was risking his life to give these interviews, Max gave 2 reasons. 1, to sell his book and make money. 2, he believes it's time the public understand and accept organized crime for what it is.
Did you ever wonder about that person? He had a wife or children?
I don't worry about any of them. The same as if somebody comes after me, he ain't gonna worry about me.
Now we find ourselves at a very interesting and mysterious part of Max's life, the end of it. It's not 100% known exactly how Max died, but one thing is pretty much considered fact. He was murdered. Some people think he was murdered in retaliation for a hit he had done. Others believe the interviews and books led to his demise. However, there's really only one narrative I've seen floating around, and it goes like this. Max had flown from Seattle to the Bay Area. He checked into the Los Prados Motel in the evening. He left the motel around 7:40 p.m. on a Wednesday and was walking to his borrowed Cadillac when an unknown assailant fired 1 shotgun blast into him, killing him. None of this is actually confirmed, however. This was from an online article, and I also saw it floating around on Reddit. This leads me to the final part of this video. Throughout, we've heard many bold claims of which there is seemingly no evidence for, other than the word of David Susskind, who swears he vetted Max. So the last unanswered question would naturally be, is this guy legit or just full of shit? Well, since we don't have any cold hard evidence, here's what I believe. Max Kirshner was probably involved in organized crime to some extent. He may have even killed a few people, as it was worlds easier to get away with that sort of thing in his time. However, I do think he greatly exaggerated a lot of the claims. I mean, why wouldn't he? He couldn't have actually been a made man in the Mafia, as he wasn't Italian. It's also a pretty well-known fact that the mob did not often pay outsiders to do hits. You did a hit in the Mafia as an obligation, not for money. Also, by his own admission, he really liked to gamble. That doesn't make him a liar outright, but it could be a reason he was compelled to share his story and maybe throw in a few tall tales too to make an extra buck. It's a shame there aren't more cold hard facts about Max. Liar or not, I think he was a super interesting guy, and it's a shame he was killed in the manner he was. I started reading one of his books, Hit 29, and I plan on reading them all, so if I find out anything else interesting, I can make another video if you guys want. That's about all I have for you guys today. If you enjoyed the video, remember to like and subscribe. I'm live playing Tarkov on @SCV Live pretty much every night, so if that interests you, hop on over there. I appreciate all your guys' time, and I hope you all have a great day. Peace.